Ooh, Appletini. Wow, you can really taste the apples. Can we get 2 Appletinis, please?
Hey everybody, it's Brad here with Gerald. Welcome to episode 1.
Number 1, Brad. Number 1.
Appletini Plus.
Yes. Bradley, what's up, man?
I'm excited that we finally found some time to
We're
get
here,
together. Life has been busy for both of us.
We announced this when I was like 25 years old. We're fucking finally recording it.
And we did tell people in our little announcement that we were going to start with Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
But, you know, things change. And we had to...
Dean over there, they fucking the movie journey, you know. Did you see they're doing that?
They're doing it.
I can't believe those guys. I love them so much, but I'm also very upset with them. They didn't run that by me first as a listener of their program. But no, they're doing good stuff over there. I'm just kidding. But yes, we're doing something a little different because of what happened in the past week. So,
oh, yeah. We decided to pivot, and we are doing Coda.
Yes.
Brand new Best Picture winner. First time ever a streaming movie has won the Best Picture.
I like how you wanted to get that out there right at the top.
Oh yeah, I wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure some people knew.
Oh man, yeah.
How crazy that Apple is the first one to do this?
Well, I was going to ask you. So, kind of in our intro here. I mean, was that like? I don't know. I thought Power of the Dog was going to win the Oscar. Like I didn't.
So did I.
I didn't think the Academy was ready to award a streaming service quite yet, regardless of how good or bad the movie may be.
I mean, Power of the Dog was Netflix, so
I know, yeah.
And it was, I figured it was between the front runners. I thought were those two.
Yeah, I mean, it's a testament to what streaming services are putting out. I mean, it's quality, high quality stuff for sure. The performances are top tier, and I'm sure we'll get into Coda tonight, but.
I would hope we're getting into Coda since that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we'll get into it. I was just surprised. I didn't expect it.
I mean, nothing against Power of the Dog. It was a good movie too, but I mean, Coda was definitely my favorite to win. It's the one I picked.
Oh, okay.
To win also. So
interesting. Okay.
Spoiler alert for later.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know if I'd say that was like a super bold pick because it was probably like my 2 or 3, but
yeah.
It just didn't seem Oscar-y, like Oscar baity, and they love that kind of shit. So
yeah, I think they wanted this year kind of I don't know. It just felt like we want a feel-good movie to win. We want a great cast with just a movie that just like you feel good about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Coda definitely has that going for it, where it's definitely a feel-good movie that brings awareness to something that is not really covered a lot in Hollywood too. Being the deaf community, I mean.
Yes.
So that was really cool too. And those actors obviously, don't have a ton of roles coming their way. So to have one highlighted as much as it was, I thought that was really cool too. So
it won three Oscars: Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actor for Troy how do you say his name? Kotsur,
yeah.
So I mean that's awesome. I mean, he was only the second deaf actor ever to win. And I think the first ever in this category.
Yeah, I think the first one was a female too, right?
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
mean, really cool.
A lot of firsts for this film this Oscar season.
Yeah, I agree.
Everybody else is talking about something else, but we're going to talk about Coda.
We're going to talk about Coda.
And for those who have not seen this, we will get into spoilers as we talk through the film. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Come back. If you don't care, listen on.
This episode will contain spoilers.
Yes.
So you just saw it, right? You just saw it recently for the first time?
I did. I saw it a few weeks ago because I wanted to try to get all the best pictures out of the way. I ended up not making it through all of them. But I'm glad this was one that I did watch.
Did you want to get into the beef of the discussion here and just kind of give your initial thoughts on it? I mean, you did kind of give spoilers already that obviously you're a fan of it. But
yeah, I can give I'll give a quick synopsis of it so people know who maybe haven't seen it. Written and directed by Son Hader. As a Coda, which stands for Child of Deaf Adults, Ruby is the only hearing person in her deaf family. When the family's fishing business is threatened, Ruby finds herself torn between pursuing her love of music by wanting to go to Berklee College of Music and her fear of abandoning her parents.
Mm-hmm. That's the plot synopsis. I'll give my quick initial thoughts and then I'll ask yours, Brad. So I had seen it when it came out initially, which, forgive me, I don't remember when that was, but I know it was last year. And then I've seen it a couple times since then. I watched it again for this recording. I really like it. I mean, for lack of not spoiling my overall rating at the end of the episode, but I really liked it. Like I said, it didn't seem like the kind of award season bait kind of movie that we get oftentimes. So I didn't really expect it to get as many accolades as it did, but not because it was a bad movie. It just didn't seem like it was in that wheelhouse of what the Oscars or the Academy usually go for. But, you know, the character development I thought was really great, which is kind of a challenge with the exception of Ruby, really, because they can't talk. So, you know, there's no dialogue, or at least spoken dialogue in the movie, and you have to rely on subtitles unless you know sign language, of course. So that was a bit of a challenge, I would imagine, but the character development didn't suffer as a result of that. I thought it was, you know, really good character development that really, like, they were well-rounded. You were able to connect to a lot of them, and there were a lot of different relationships kind of going on in the movie. They were all kind of centered around Ruby, which I really loved her performance. So I think that helped a little bit too, that she was kind of the anchor in the film.
Yeah.
But I mean, just initial thoughts. I thought it was a great movie that I'm glad that it rose to the prominence that it did here as of late, because I didn't expect that, and I think it's a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Like, it was just one of those films that you feel good watching. Like, it's in a very emotional journey of Ruby's through this, and it was just a very, very well done movie, and just a story of something you don't ever you ever see, especially maybe in like a, you know, the bigger mainstream. You don't see something like this.
Right.
Which was nice to see.
Now, you know, Troy Kotsur obviously got a ton of accolades and just won the Oscar for the supporting actor. Were you surprised that Emilia Jones didn't get a little more recognition as Ruby? I thought she was, like, phenomenal in this. I don't know. I'm just surprised that she wasn't even mentioned, really, when I heard people talking about Oscar contenders.
I don't think she was, her name ever came up in any kind of Oscar talk at all, even if you were, you know, here's my top 20. I don't think you ever heard anybody mention her name.
I know. It was weird. It's weird. I don't know. I guess maybe it would have been one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, so it's this movie with all these deaf people, and you nominated the one person that's not deaf, like, you know, and it would have been a whole thing from an optics perspective. So I don't know if that kind of scared him away a little bit, but I thought she did really, really good in the movie overall. And
I thought everybody did a great job in the movie. Like
I did too.
Who played her brother, Daniel Durant?
Yeah, Daniel Durant.
Leo,
yep. Mm-hmm.
And then played her mom, Jackie, Marlee Matlin. We know her from television.
That's right. So that'll lead us a little bit into our characters discussion then. Kind of talk about these a little bit more. Who were your favorite, and who did you really not like in this movie?
My favorite was the dad, Frank. I mean, right off the bat, when they're in the doctor's office,
oh, yeah.
he's talking about the burning and everything else. I was just like, oh my God, he is hilarious. And then later on, you get him like bumping that gangster rap when he's picking
he
her
loves
up
the bass,
school.
right? Yeah, yeah. Then he has a little joke when the teacher, you know, drops a little F-bomb when they're talking to each other. He thinks he knows sign language.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was good too.
Yeah, I liked him. I really liked his character.
Yeah, I really liked him too. I think I liked Frank more like for his connection to his family and his connection to Ruby. So in just focusing on the character itself, I would probably say Ruby Rossi. I think she was probably my favorite. I mean, I already mentioned I feel like she was the anchor in this movie. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Without her, in my opinion, the story would not be as centralized as it was, because, you know, she's dealing with her dreams of going to Berklee. She's dealing with, you know, the fisherman family and kind of she's the glue that kind of holds all that together. And then outside of the business, she's dealing with the actual family drama at home and, you know, the relationship with her brother and her parents. And she's got that love interest at school. I can't remember the kid's name, but the guy that she's...
Miles?
The guy that she kind of has a crush on. Yeah, Miles. I think it is Miles, actually. She has a relationship with the music teacher, who I also loved in this movie. Bernardo, right? I think is his name, Mr. V.
I mean, every character in this was great, and in her, she had the most going on, because
exactly.
There was a lot of time I was thinking, I was like, when does she ever sleep?
Yeah,
because she's trying to like this music life of hers, and then trying to take care of her family to make sure that everything's okay on that side, since they can't hear, and that becomes a predominant problem later on that you see. We'll dig in that here in a little bit, but no, she was a great character. Like you said before, how was she not even mentioned in any kind of Oscar talk?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems weird to me because I feel like she's easily, top 10, top 15, performances of the year, especially if you're talking about like driving the narrative forward, because every character in this movie, she's the through line, in my opinion. There's no really off set plots or anything going on the side that doesn't involve her. Everything that's going on in the movie pretty much involves Ruby in some way or another. So for her to carry the weight of that and do it so flawlessly, I thought was great. So she would be my favorite. Was there any character that you could have done without in this movie that you didn't really like?
Maybe not that I could have done without, but more of a dislike, because that's just kind of the way the movie rolled out for them to be. And that would be, like Gino. He's the fisherman guy who kept changing up how much he was going to pay him and kind of screwing him over. And then later on, the lady that goes on the boat with them, she's kind of like watching them, and then she doesn't realize that they're deaf, so she doesn't even know.
Right.
The situation obviously sets that up for not liking her, but
sure.
I don't think there are any characters as we were going along that I was too much like, oh, I could have done without this character. What about you? Is there any?
Not that I could do without her, because she does come around to have her comeuppance a little bit in the end and kind of came back to me a little bit. But for the first like 3/4 of this movie, I really didn't like the mom. And I'm not talking about
really? Okay.
I'm not talking about Marley Matlin, because I love her, but just the character of the mother, Jackie. I don't know. I just really had a distaste for like the way she was kind of trying to control Ruby. I
get it. Yeah.
And how, I don't know, it just felt a bit selfish in terms of like, you have to do this for your family. If you leave, we're not going to be able to have this business, like putting a lot of pressure on, a high school kid. And I don't know. Every time that happened, I was just kind of like, really, that was your approach as a mother? And then later in the film, I don't think she ever actually apologizes for those types of altercations with Ruby, but she does kind of come around to like, this is your dream. You should do this. And, a lot of that may have been her and the father kind of coming together to realize what's best for Ruby. She should be able to do it. But I just felt like it was a while for the mom to get there when the dad was pretty much there from the beginning. He was just kind of like, well, it's college. If she's going to go, she's going to go. Like, it's life, and the mom was kind of fighting that. Like, no, she has to stay here with us kind of thing, which in my opinion was selfish.
That was kind of her, one, she obviously didn't want to see her little girl leave. Mm-hmm. And then two, there was that other side of like, when she leaves, what happens to us?
Right.
Because we can't do everything that she helps us with.
Right. So that, it might be surprising to some people, but it's not that I could do without her, because she was a great character, but I just didn't like the kind of selfish approach when it came to Ruby's future in the first like half of the movie. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. But
did you like her best friend, Gertie?
I did. I did. I thought that was cute, and I thought when she came down and told the brother she had crabs or whatever, whatever it was really because good. She gave her the wrong sign language. I thought. She was. I don't know if I'd use the term throwaway character, but she wasn't really like a pivotal character. But I liked her when she was on camera. I thought she was witty and funny, and they had a good chemistry together, her and Ruby. So yeah, I liked everybody in the movie. I think the mother character, like I said, in the first half to like 3/4, just really kind of irked me the way she was trying to kind of control the situation and not really thinking about Ruby's best interest, in my opinion.
Now, is there any one of these characters that you would love to hang out with?
I know these questions, and I didn't think about this until you just asked me, but probably Mr. V, the music teacher.
Oh, he
seemed
felt like he had more to his life that we didn't get
for sure.
much of.
Yeah, for sure. He had a lot going on. You saw that they had like a little setup, like maybe they had small kids there at his house, and and they don't really dive into that behind the scenes of his life or whatever. So that'd be cool to kind of learn about that too. But I don't know. I just felt like he was such a passionate person about music. It was really because that was his life, but. You could just kind of, when somebody's that passionate about something in the arts, whether it's movies, music, photography, whatever it is, I just find it fascinating because they just dedicated their life to something that is a pleasure to others. Do you know what I mean? And I got the sense from him that he really wanted these kids that he took under his wing to really, succeed and get out there and spread that to other people, and that would kind of start with him. You hear people on, no pun intended, on the Oscar stage and the Grammy stage, like thanking their teachers when they were in high school, and I feel like he would have easily been one of those guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For me, the one I would want to hang out with is the same one that I loved, and that's Frank, the dad. I just want to roll around, listen to some gangster rap with him, and just like have a good time. Yeah. He just seems like the type of guy that would just be fun to hang out with.
Yeah, I agree. I would be nervous.
I'd have to learn a little signing.
I was going to say I'd be nervous because I don't know sign language, but yeah. But yeah, he was great. I mean, well-deserved Academy Award nomination and win for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the depth of emotion that he was able to portray without having that verbal dialogue. We'll get into some of our favorite scenes here in a minute, so I'll hold off on one in particular that I loved. But great character, and I can see why you want to hang out with him. I mean, that's a good one. Gangster rap and pounding some beers. That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of music in this movie, Brad, obviously, for obvious reasons. So I don't know if you wrote it down when you were watching it or if you just want to give me off the top of your head, but like, what was your favorite use of a song or music throughout this movie that you thought they used the best?
One of them I wrote down was when they played I Fought the Law.
Right. Yeah. Is that when they do the montage or whatever?
Yeah. When they're kind of everybody's getting together and it's like, I fought the law and the law won. And
yeah, that was good. And they're on the boat and stuff, right? Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah.
Or, the song that they sing. What is it? Is it You're All I Need to Get By?
You're All I Need to Get By. By the way, I think of Mary J. and Method Man when I hear that. But that's it's a old Motown song. But I always think of the Mary J. Method Man version of that song. But yeah.
But overall, there was a lot of even just sound in the movie. It made me think of Sound of Metal, which where you would hear the noises like when she's the first scene when she's sitting down she's trying to study. And they sitting down for dinner and just like they're banging around, making noises and all this stuff. And she's like, I'm trying to like concentrate and I can't do it with you guys. And and to them, they're like, what? We're just doing our, what we're doing. We're here to eat dinner and everything else. And
exactly. And that's another thing that kind of goes back to the point I was making with the mother too, because there's scenes like that where she says, I love music, I love singing. And the mom just kind of like, you love singing? And then she says something like, if I was blind, you'd want to be a painter or something like that.
Yeah.
You did, right? Or something to that effect.
Yeah.
So she's like making it about her and you're kind of being selfish in that moment. So that's what you're talking about and the way they kind of utilize the sound and like, what deaf people have to go through.
Yeah.
And
there are
really
scenes
good.
Where they kind of cut that sound out so you see the other side of like where you can kind of hear maybe just some, mumbles or loud noises, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, the third and this last time that I watched it a few weeks ago for this recording, I definitely settled on the answer to this question for me, and it was Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell that Ruby performs for her Berkeley audition. And, the family comes up in the balcony. And if you listen to the lyrics of that song, it's her life. I mean, both sides now. So she's dealing with the side that she's been in with her family. And now she's on this new side trying to achieve her goals at Berkeley. So it really resonates in terms of like meaning for her life, too. But I cried the last time that I watched this movie with that song and with that scene. I was watching it with my wife and Logan, my 8-year-old. And he was getting a little choked up, so I don't know if that had something to do with it. But I did cry the first 2 times I watched it, which is interesting. But watching it with my family, I found it, I don't know, kind of interesting that I got emotional watching it. But I feel like the song was chosen, obviously. I mean, it's a perfect song to pick for Ruby's kind of struggle and life in the movie. And I think the way they filmed that last scene in particular and showing, because I don't know if you remember, but it like cuts away and it shows like scenes of them fishing on the boat and, at home making dinner. And then it like shows them in the balcony watching her so proud, even though they can't hear her, which if you think about it from their perspective, that's pretty phenomenal too, that they can just kind of feel it, what she's portraying and what she's doing there. And then she starts signing the lyrics to them.
Yes.
so they can know the lyrics of the song.
Oh, at that point of the movie, I about lost it.
Yeah, and I did the last time I watched it. That's why I wanted to mention that. And I found that interesting because I didn't the first couple times. So I think the point of really this movie in general, we'll get to our final thoughts in a little bit, but is that it kind of has grown on me. I can remember when I first saw it when it came out. I think I want to say I gave it like 3.5, and now it's a 4.5 movie for me. And we'll get there when we discuss however we're going to do our ratings on this show, but it's gotten better with each viewing, which is not always the case with a lot of, especially like Oscar quote unquote movies.
Yeah,
they pretty much are what they are, but this movie's gotten better for me.
There are a lot of Oscar movies you either love them or you hate them, and a lot of times you're like, oh, well, I watched that, I'll probably never watch it again.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, there are some that you're like, that is so good that I want to see that again. And this is that movie where I've told my wife too, I'm like, I will watch this movie with you if you want to watch it because it was really good.
Yep, I agree. You know, some movies it's cool too. I think you could make a case easily for Coda to fall in that category, but it's all, and obviously you and I love movies, and not everybody does, but we do. So you'll get this, but like there's certain movies that you're like, yes, I'm going to watch that with you. Like if somebody says to you, I'm going to watch whatever, fill in the blank, and you'll be like, okay, let me watch it with you because you want to see them seeing it.
Yes.
I feel like Coda could be one of those movies because you want to experience other people's first time with the movie. And that's not always, I mean, that's not the case with like, Twilight or whatever. But I mean, that this movie falls in that category, I feel like.
Oh, no, I 100% agree. Because, I mean, you and I, we both have younger kids, and it's that same way too of like, I can't wait till I get to watch this movie with you to see what you think, to kind of just get the reaction. And hopefully it's what I want it to be.
Right. So that's a little bit about the music and the songs we loved. When you're talking movies, Brad, a lot of people want to know what your favorite scene is, and I guess we can talk a little bit about that. I really have one standout. I already mentioned the ending, so I'll talk about something different. But what about for you, man? I
wrote down a few just because they're ones I've already mentioned before. I thought that the doctor's office at the beginning was just a fun little scene.
It is good.
When he's picking her up, gangster rap was fun, and then when she's performing in the high school, and then the sound just goes silent, and you see them looking around at everybody else in the crowd of how they're like different people are reacting to their singing. Like some people are singing along, some people are crying, some people are smiling, and just that moment they realize like, oh, she must be good, or this is really impacting people. And then the final one I wrote down is when she sings to her dad.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, that scene right there, just like, I was just watching it and I just completely broke down when she's singing to him and puts a hand up to her throat, and I'm just like, so he can feel it. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm, I almost feel like I'm getting choked up right now thinking about the scene, but it was just so impactful the way that she found a way, even though they can't hear, for them to be able to, quote unquote, hear her.
Right. Well, that's my scene too. That's the one scene. I mean, aside from the both sides now kind of montage at the end of the movie when she does her Berkeley performance, but those two are pretty much rivals, like neck and neck in terms of like the most powerful scene in the movie.
Yeah.
I think a scene like that is an Oscar winning scene, and he won the Oscar. So, you could put it that way. It's just such a powerful piece of acting, really, from both of them, and a beautiful singing voice going on too, being showcased as well. But what I kind of took away from that scene, and I've seen it a few times, is that he obviously can't hear her, but he kind of can, feel her vocal cords, like you said, and he's in the moment with her. But I took away from it as a father, like such a strong sense of pride that he had for how good she was at it and how much she loved it, because truth be told, he doesn't really know if she's good.
No,
I mean, she can sound horrible for all he knows.
And it was that performance in the high school that kind of started that.
Right.
And when she sang to him later, it just kind of like solidified.
Yeah, he was like, everybody loved it. I want to hear it, sing it for me. And I don't, he obviously couldn't literally hear it, but he he was just so proud of her love for song and being able to perform. And he saw how much everyone else really enjoyed it. And Gertie had told the brother that it was amazing. And the brother passed that on to them. And so, yeah, that's my scene too. It was just so powerful. And again, no dialogue, right? I mean, it's just kind of him portraying the feelings that really any father would feel. Like if their daughter was, going to American Idol or going to be at Berklee School of Music or like whatever, just that sense of pride and just overwhelming hope that they're able to succeed, and that's kind of what he was feeling in the moment. And then I think it was the next morning, right, that he's like, get your ass up, we're going to Berklee, like he decided basically on the bed of that truck
because she had decided before then that she's not going to go do this.
Right. Because she's going to be there for the family.
She's going to help them out with the fishing boat because they were going to lose their boat and
right.
They license suspended because she was off doing music and they got pulled over by the Coast Guard and got in trouble. And she felt really guilty for not being there and said, well, fine, I'm not going to do it. This
is a kind of a left field question, but what would you have done in Ruby's shoes? And this could be, you could fill in the blank with really any number of scenes and kind of crossroads that she's faced with in the movie. But the one that I was going to illustrate to you is like if you were her and you were in that situation where remember the news media came to interview them and they were trying to pump up their new business, and in order for it to succeed, they'd done different marketing and they were going to do this news story. And Ruby was going to be the translator because obviously she can read the sign language and translate to the reporters. And she's like, well, I can't do that because I'm supposed to be at my music practice with Mr. V. And ultimately, she ends up missing practice or going really late. And she stays to do the translation for her family, even though she's kind of absent from it in a literal sense. What would you have done in that scenario? Would you have stayed there to support your family, or do you think you would have went to your music practice?
I would say I would stay to support my family because but I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I can't sing worth a damn. So I mean.
Yeah, it's one of those things, all right. It's like, I don't know what I would, because I really don't know, to be honest. And I
think my family or follow my dreams. I don't know.
And following my dreams is going to help my family, but they can't see that,
Yeah, they can't see that right there. But
I only ask that because I really don't know. Like that's one of those scenarios that I feel like there's no way you would know unless you were confronted with it.
Oh, absolutely.
I just don't know.
I would think that it would be family. I would go the Vin Diesel route and just be like, it's all about family.
Now, the other side of that coin is, Mr. V's reaction to her missing practice. And he kind of was like, you're wasting my time. If you can't be here, don't be here. And he basically fires her or quits on her or whatever you want to say. The way she gets him back, what was her quote? She goes to see him a couple days later and she's like, I've never done anything without my family. And that's kind of what brings him back to kind of be her mentor. Is he kind of sees like,
Yeah, there was a moment there where with him, I was like, can't he like see what she's trying to do to like, this is tough on her to be able to do this.
Yeah.
But you're not seeing it. You're just like, oh, this is my time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To your point, he was very much tough love. Like he was a very hard nosed, like, if you're not going to do this and get the hell out of here kind of person. But I don't know. I feel like she needed that. I feel like he really pushed her to, see her full potential. Because in the beginning, she really entered choir as a class because she had a crush on Miles. You know what I mean? Like she wasn't doing it to go to Berklee or whatever.
I mean, he pushed her hard through the whole thing. Even when he'd call her out to sing and she was trying to sing, he'd always call her out and be like, no, it's basically not good enough. Keep trying.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't remember the exact scene, but there's one where she's singing when she's going to practice over at his house and it's not going well. And I forgot what it was that he said to her and then she was like, and then she tried again and he was like, yes, that's it. That's what I want.
Oh yeah. He got her like really riled up. I know what you're talking about. Like he basically made her angry. Like you got to be angry. I can't remember what words he used, but yeah. He got her really fired up and then she kind of started screaming and then he was like, that's it. And it was something similar in the beginning too, when he was trying to get her to repeat over and over again until she finally got it. I liked him as a character, but I do see how a lot of people might be like, he was really hard on her. But what you have to realize too, not you personally, but other people, is that he didn't see the movie. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't see necessarily what was going on in her life outside of music class. You know, we did. So we knew like this girl's trying to keep it together.
Like,
but
why
you know,
doesn't this teacher know? It's a little small fishing area.
That's true too. That's true too. But you know what I'm saying? Like, he just saw like this kid that didn't show up to class or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't. Yeah. So, and she was very kind of sheltered in that way where she really didn't give up a lot of that information. Because I feel like at any moment, he was a very sympathetic character that I feel like at any moment, had she been like, well, look, I missed because of this, then he might be like, oh, okay, well, that's understandable. But she's not the kind of person that would do that. You know what I mean? To show that weakness.
Yeah.
So kind of created that dilemma in their relationship until eventually it came to fruition at the end there. Speaking of the ending, I did not think about this question, Brad. So I got to think about it. I'm going to let you go first. Do you have any kind of alternate ending that you would do? So basically, and Brad, you can help me along here, but basically how the movie ends is that they wake up, and my wife actually had an issue with the editing in this part, by the way. But anyway, she said it happened way too quickly. But anyway, they wake her up one morning, and they're like, all right, you know, and they all get in the car. They say bye to Gertie, and they basically go to Berkeley for her audition. And she has her audition, and that's when we see the Both Sides Now montage that I talked about. And, you know, they get to watch her perform from the balcony, and beautiful montage and so on and so on. That's it, right? That's how it pretty much ends, right? Like with her going to college, or does she come back? She doesn't come back with them at the very, very end. Remind me.
Well, no, she's at home and
she gets accepted.
I mean, it basically ends with loading the car, and then as she's driving away, that's when she signs the
"I love you."
Yeah.
So, she gets her acceptance on the computer, and they all freak out. Yeah. She gets accepted to Berkeley and then leaves, basically.
Yeah, and it ends with her leaving, and she's leaning out the window, signing.
That's right.
To them.
Yep. So, I guess the moral of the story, if you want to make a long story very, very short, is that she achieved her goal, she lived her dream, and she's going to be a musician. So that's ultimately the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. Is there any alternate ending that you could see that would have worked? I mean, you can get crazy if you want to, but is there anything that you would have maybe added to the ending or changed?
I mean, I've been thinking about this, you know, since I saw it, and I liked how the movie ended. I don't want to see a change. Personally, there's nothing that I would want to change for the ending, because I liked that it was, you know, kind of a happy ending for all there. Like, everybody was good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
well, you don't have to change anything. I mean, I guess I should have led with that. You don't have to. You know, I thought it was a great ending too. I mean, I got to be honest.
Get in, and she just has to deal with being a fisherman her whole life.
I know that wouldn't be cinema, though, right? My wife said that my wife actually said that. She's like, what if she didn't get in and she just stayed in this fishing town and became an alcoholic? Just like pregnant at 17 or like whatever.
She just started singing at the bar instead.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that would work, honey. Sure. Yeah, I really like the ending too. I guess the only thing I would say is the ambiguity in the part. What could have happened is Both Sides Now song that really was a crescendo for the emotion in the movie. Once that came down off that hill, that could have been the end, as opposed to seeing her like go to school and just kind of leaving it open there to where, because her whole struggle in the movie was, do I follow my dreams or do I stay with my family?
Yeah.
So kind of leaving it on that note. I'm not saying I necessarily would have liked that better, but I feel like that's something that was an option, that they could have done that and it still would have been a decent ending. But here we do get the finality that, you know, she's going to Berkeley. So, you know, I mean, you know, filmmakers do that, Brad, where they're like, I'm not going to tell you what happens. You have to, did she stay with her family or did she go to Berkeley? You know what I mean? So they could have done that like a number of films have done. But other than that, I really enjoyed the ending. I would probably keep it intact as well.
Yeah, I would too.
All right, man. Well, we have discussed Coda in our first ever Appletini episode. We didn't tell people at the beginning, but we drink Appletinis during this.
Yeah.
And I poured a beer, and I texted you. I said, Brad, all right, I got my beer. I'm coming out there. And you're like, your beer? It's Appletini Plus. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So I went in, and I literally threw this together. But it's just raspberry vodka, apple pucker, and a little Sprite. And it's pretty good. So
Ooh,
it's
a little Sprite.
Yeah, it's kind of a fake Appletini because Appletinis don't really have Sprite in them. But I didn't have anything else, and I didn't want to go straight liquor, so I could actually talk to you tonight.
That's fair.
But it's like a raspberry apple teeny. It's pretty good. What about you? You got the basic thing going over there?
Yeah, you know, the basic. Just the vodka pucker, a little bit of apple juice.
The old Brad version, as I call it. The Brad teeny. Well, why don't we give our final thoughts on Coda, and then how do you want to do the rating? By the way, guys, this is a work in progress, so
it's a huge work in progress. We're still trying to figure it out.
I don't even know if I hit record, but
I hope so.
but it's a work in progress, so we'll figure it out. But we're trying to come up with something unique for our rate. What do you want to do? You want to rate it out of Appletinis, or what do you want to do?
I kind of feel it needs to be an Appletini kind of rating, but you want to go out of like 5, 10, 100?
Yeah, why don't we do 100? Because that gives us a little flexibility on what we can score it. Now, with that being said, I have no fucking idea what my score is. Let me figure that out because I had rated it before. But let's do out of 100. You want to do that? So
we'll do out of 100. All right. So I think I would give this. I really liked it. Of the best pictures that I saw, I only saw half of them. This was my favorite. This was my favorite film of what I saw. I was extremely happy that it won Best Picture when its name was called. Like, I was the only one awake still watching the Oscars, and I even was thrilled and did the sign language applause like everybody else. And
nice.
I think I would give it a 90 out of 100.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And I know it comes as a shock to some people who know my other side of film.
Yeah.
The Brad Fest side.
The non-Oscar side, for sure.
That loves terrible movies. But, sometimes, I like the good ones sometimes.
Well, they're all good. But if you love them, they're good. I started recently working in a store that sells a lot of wine, and I tell customers, I'm like, if you like the wine, it's good. It doesn't matter if it's $4 or whatever. If you like it,
there
drink
you go.
So same thing can be said for movies for the most part. So, I agree with you for the most part. I mean, I really like this movie too. And what's really cool about this movie is I feel like it gets better every time I watch it. Which, this does have some comedy in it, but I mean, for the most part, it's a drama. It's a family drama, and that's rare, man. I mean, usually family dramas, they are what they are. Like, you watch them, and like you said, I mean, you might love them, but it's not like they're getting better every single time you see them. Like, you just kind of love them, But this one I do like more today than I did when I initially saw it. This
film was very much like how, the year Little Miss Sunshine came out, where it was that kind of like, it's kind of a feel-good family drama with kind of a little, you take this little ride with them.
No, yeah, I could see that comparison with Little Miss Sunshine. That's cool. And Troy Kotsur, well-deserved Academy Award. I'm glad he won. But for me, the shining star is Amelia Jones. I mean, she just killed it, man. An actress that I was not very familiar with, but she's on my radar now as one of the best young actresses out there. And, just really did a phenomenal thing in this movie, especially being a newcomer, not a veteran, and she was able to basically be involved in every major relationship in the movie. Every other character in the movie that we know is filtered through her somehow. She's a through line, and that's, you could pick, like, go down IMDb and grab and point to a movie and think, like, who's the character in that's like centered in every story. And it's not like a ton of them, but in Coda, she is, Ruby is the main character. So I really want to give a shout out to her performance as well. We already talked about the music, which I thought was really good. My rating is not quite as high as yours. But ironically, if I watched it a couple more times, it might be, because it gets better for me every time. But right now, I'm going to stick an 81 on it. 81 out of 100.
That's still good.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good film.
Would you say probably if we hit 60s, that's kind of like the passing grade, you would say?
Yeah, anything 60 plus, I would probably say I'm recommending you to at least check it out. Right?
I think so.
I enjoyed this, Brad. I feel like we should. What are we doing? I feel like we should do this more often.
We should. And since you don't know where to find us all, I will let the good people know.
Please do. And I'm going to write it down when you tell them so I can follow you.
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Appletini Plus, and the plus is spelled out. Or you can email us, appletiniplus@gmail.com. Hopefully we'll get back soon and do another one of these fun Appletini Plus shows. Hopefully everybody loves this first one we did on Coda.
We will do more, Brad. I think we'll cover a TV show next. I don't know if we'll pivot on Ted Lasso, since we got to talk to the movie journey over there. Coming in our territory.
Follow us on our social. We'll throw it out there. Tell you what
we'll
we're
let
doing
you know
next.
what we're doing. And, if you guys have an Apple TV show that you love, or movie, original, then you could obviously pitch that to us as well, because literally this is the first one we've covered, so we could cover anything pretty much.
All right, Gerald.
All right, Bradley. It was a blast. We don't have a sign off yet. Again, it's a work in progress. So I don't know. Keep sipping Appletinis and making sour pucker faces. I don't know.
But we will talk to everybody again soon.
See you guys later. Thanks for listening.
All right. Good night.